Right, we're live. Hello, everybody. This is Debbie, from Teacher Success Coach. Recording pause. Right. Okay. Right. Hello, everybody. This is Debbie from Teacher Success Coach with another episode of the Female Educators Roundtable. And on a Saturday, we do female educators where we have teachers, any teacher from around the world who will be talking about their experience as a teacher, pre-COVID, post-COVID, after COVID, what it's been like teaching and sharing their experience with us, what teaching is like right now, what are some of the challenges, what are some of the wonderful things in teaching. They're not only challenges, there's some fantastic things about teaching as well. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you guys for actually tuning in, either being live or looking at the recording. We have another guest from around the world, somewhere around the world. As you guys know, my guest is from everywhere. So welcome, 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 Lindsey. Thank you very much for accepting the offer to come and to share your journey with us. I really do appreciate that. Tell us where you come from and tell us, about your journey.
I'm Lindsey McGrath. I'm based in Sheffield. I've been teaching for the past 18 years. I currently work in a primary school as an assistant head teacher, and I also teach part-time in the classroom as well. But during my journey, I've had varied roles from being an ET to being a leader. The roles have been quite interesting roles as well. So I've been a phase leader, transition leader, also worked as a Senko in schools that I've a couple of schools that I've worked in. So the roles have been quite varied, but interesting roles as well, but different. Obviously, further you get on with the journey, you become more established and you encounter different barriers, different yeah. So it's been quite interesting the journey that I've been on, and still continue the journey and really enjoying teaching and the process of teaching as well.
Fantastic, thank you. You say you were what type of school do you work? Primary, secondary?
And primary school, so I've always been primary, so I've taught from year 1 all the way to year 6. So I've been in 3 different schools since I started teaching, and I've been in so like I said, I've moved from year 1 to year 6. So it's been really interesting. You get to see where the children start at, and then you get to see where the children leave you in primary school. So seeing that journey is really eye-opening, and it gives you a bit more understanding of the journey of teaching and where the children are.
Okay, so I'm secondary, so which means when you actually mold them how you like them, then you send them to me. And then, the interesting thing about all of that is when the children are in primary school, they actually are very creative and they're really innovative. However, I'm not too sure what happened when they come into secondary school. They lose all of that when they come to secondary school. When they come to secondary school, they are not creative, they are not innovative. They're just a different set of children. What do you think happens during the transition?
I think that's really sad. I think in primary school, they've got one teacher that they're based with for all the different subjects. So the relationship between that one teacher and the pupils is really strong. Whilst they're going to secondary school, they've got different teachers who specialise in obviously different subjects. So I think the children are getting to know themselves because they're moving from primary to secondary. So that transition is a massive transition for somebody who's 11. And I think also as well, doing that, they lose a bit of themselves, which is really quite sad, because I think a lot of the children are so creative, they're really artistic, they're really good at languages, but I think because they're navigating the world, and now with the world as well, there's so much for young people to do. In terms of when I was their age, we didn't have the technology that they have now. So navigating that, navigating how to be a person and all the different things, I think it's quite tricky for them. But I do find it sad if you're saying the children have lost their creativity, because I think that's the interesting thing about children in primary. They're so excited to tell you what they've been doing at the weekend, and they're so excited to bring in pictures and show you for show and tell, or to tell you about what they've been doing, like football or been to an art competition. I had a girl a couple of weeks ago who went to a university lecture with her mum, and they were learning about different fossils, and she was so excited to tell me about that the next day. So I do find that really sad that the children are losing their creativity, because I think that's what makes the children actually individuals, when they can tell you things about themselves. You don't want all our children to be robots. You want them to be creative, have that creative flair, and be who they need to be.
It's interesting, right? Because I teach sixth formers. And something I say to them all the time, I say, you guys have only just finished primary school. And they say, Miss, what do you mean? I say, yes, you've only just finished primary school. And I said, the sad thing about it is you guys are in the sixth form. And in terms of creative skills, in terms of critical thinking, you guys don't have any of that. You guys have lost it. I say you guys begin to feel like you guys are robots. I say, whereas when you come from primary school to secondary school, you are all of that. Well, I'm not too sure what happens. And one of them said to me, Miss, you know what happened? When we come to secondary school, it's like we are told that we just need to put our head down and GCSE, GCSE, GCSE. So we don't even have time to continue on our creative skill. We can't even play as children anymore. So one of the things one of them said to me, Miss, I really miss not being a child as I used to be, because now you guys want us to be responsible, but we're still children. And I felt that because when they come to secondary school, they lose all their critical thinking skills. And we're just saying to them, come on, it's GCSE now, so you need to learn that textbook.
I think that's really sad. And like you said, I'm really an advocate for children to be critical thinkers. I want the children to have their own mind. And I don't mind if they disagree with something I've said, as long as obviously it's put in an eloquent way, not a rude way. But I think we need children who are critical thinkers and think about things, because any story you give them, any narrative you can give the child can have a different slant in it, can't you? So my version is going to be different to someone else's version. I want the children to question it and ask questions, because that's how you think and that's how you get the knowledge as well that you need. But I also think moving from primary to secondary, it's in terms of the people that are there, it's in some cases it's quadrupled, isn't it? So in the school I currently teach in, there's 400 children. When they go to a secondary school, there's 1,600 children, or maybe more, maybe a little bit less, but it'd be about 1,000. So that year 7 child is literally a little fish in a big pond. Whereas before, in the primary school, the head teacher, no question of a doubt, will know everybody's name. They'll know the teachers. If the teacher's been there for a long period of time, they'll know all the students and know the students' names. They'll see what they've done. They'll see them coming through the school from reception all the way to year 6. So I think primary, because it's smaller, has a bit more of like a community feel, and it's a bit closer. The parents come in, they have conversations and discussions with you. So yeah, I do find it sad that the children have lost the creativity, and I do definitely think that we need creative thinkers. We don't want everyone to think the same. It'd be so boring if we're all the same as each other. It'd be so boring. We need variety. We need people challenging, but challenging in a positive way as well, and asking questions and furthering the knowledge, because we know now people's slant on history has changed. Depending on which viewpoint you're on, the history will change. So we need children to be thinking, and we need to allow them those skills to think. And tests are important, because we need to know what the children have learned, and from the beginning to the end. But as a child, they shouldn't have that level of pressure on them. As a child, like the children you've been working with said, they need to be children. They're not mini adults, they are children. Some of them are very young 11-year-olds. If your birthday's in August, you're a very young 11-year-old and you're going up to secondary school. The children need to play and have fun. I remember reading something once and it said adults lose their creativity, and as adults we do, don't we? We used to be fun, we used to just laugh and have a belly laugh. And then now, you just laugh and have a belly laugh. You don't care who's there. And you put your head back and you're all jokey and you're not so serious and uptight. Somewhere we've lost that. As adult, when we get to adulthood, we lose it. And I find it so sad if you're saying that an 11-year-old has lost that. 11-year-old should be fun. But I think the way we are sometimes, we expect the children to behave in a certain way. They are navigating the world. As adults, we are navigating the world. I was reading tried to read quite a bit, and I was reading something. It was saying, don't be upset with your parents. This is the first time they've done this. So, as because I'm a parent, it's the first time I've done this. So if I've made a mistake, it's the first time I'm learning as they are learning. We've only got one life, haven't we? We're all learning at the same time. So it's the children need to have fun. That's how they're happy, and also it will help them with their mental well-being as well.
Thank you. You've said so much in that. That is so very true, because as you were talking, what was going through my head was some of the year sevens. Because one of the things that sometimes I cover the year sevens. And one of the things I would always say to you is, Miss, I really, the majority of them, they hate secondary school because the teachers are telling us off and they expect us to know where we're supposed to be, Miss. But I don't know, and I'm getting lost, and you feel so sorry for them, especially if you have some of the schools that are huge, right? And you, as you rightly say, this is a little fish in a big pond, and they're getting lost all the time. And one of them said to me the last time that I was in another school, she said, Miss, you know what was so horrible? I told the teacher that I was lost, and the teacher just said to me, stand outside. And I keep on saying to her, Miss, the reason why I came in late, I was lost. She said, and the teacher just told me off. And she see me crying, Miss, and she still keep on telling me off. I thought, oh my goodness, that felt so sad. Because as secondary school teachers, we need to be so mindful of these little things coming to us from, as you rightly say, a small school and coming into a huge school that they're trying to find their way around the school, but getting lost. And coming to your lesson late because they're lost. And we need to be mindful of that. Instead of telling them off, we need to understand that it might take them 3 months, a whole term, to remember where they're supposed to be. And remember to have the timetable. That's another thing. Because in terms of them and the timetable, they don't know where they're supposed to be, because never before do they have a timetable that they have to follow.
And but that's a skill within itself.
Exactly. It's so interesting, just talking to you now and me reflecting with the primary, with the year 7 students. It is so sad because we're in secondary school, we don't feel the pain. We don't feel the pain because we just expect them to come on. You guys have come to big school, just get on with it.
And that's really tricky to get on with it.
Yes.
Isn't it? If you don't know what you're getting on with, it's really tricky. And like I said, you're navigating a whole new world. You're navigating lots of, there's big students there. So some of the students, I'm 5'4", so some of the students will be bigger than me, they'll be 6 foot. So if you're little, you're 4'5", and you've got this other person there, it's quite intimidating, it's quite scary. And you've got the hustle and the bustle of where you are. In my current school where I am, this will make you laugh. In my current school where I didn't realize there was a room there until a week ago. So I was meeting somebody to have a conversation. They said, oh, he's in this room. And I looked all around the school. I was like, I don't know where this room is. And somebody had to go and show me where this room was. And I'm an adult. And it took me, so literally it's been 10, 11 weeks. And I didn't know. In my second school, it took me a solid month to understand the layout of the school, because the school was kind of like on two different sides, but very close to each other. But it took me ages to understand, because some of the classes that I expected to be upstairs were downstairs. So in my head, I had to navigate, where's that class, where's not that class. And that took me a good month to understand that. And that was me being an adult, walking to school and being around the school. I remember when I was 11, going to my secondary school, it was huge. My primary school was a 1-form entry. So it's like 200 children there. Then I went to my secondary school, which was a massive secondary school, which touched people from all over Sheffield. And there was like 1,700 pupils there. It was huge. And I remember just looking up thinking, oh my goodness, remember the corridors were so long, and then it went round in like a square, and then me getting lost and not being able to find certain things. So I understand when you say some of the students, especially year 7s, if they're year 9s, they should know where they're going.
Yeah,
but when they're year 7s, it's so hard. And a lot of year 7s, especially now, they're They're not doing those things that I used to do when I was younger. For example, going to call for a friend. Are they? Because they get a
Exactly.
lift
Yeah.
everywhere. So going on
Yes.
the bus or going on the tram, we've got a tram in Sheffield, is so exciting because they don't normally do that because they've got
Yeah.
parents that will take them on transport.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is so interesting, talking to you and visualizing the the secondary school year seven, because it's like I'm busy, right? And I'm just looking at this little year seven. One of them said to me 2 weeks ago, Miss, do you know where whatever room is? Because this school I'm in new, I started in September. And I said to her, sorry, darling, I'm going to be late for my lesson, she said. And I said, okay, don't worry. Let's go and see if we could find it. And it's the way, it was plain that she's going to be late for her lesson. I didn't even know where the hell I was going because I'm new in the school as well.
Yeah.
And it is so sad when you actually begin to think in terms of these children getting lost in this big school. The school I'm in I think it's 1,500 children. So could you imagine they're coming from a one-form entry primary school to this big school?
That's a lot, isn't
It
it? It's a
is.
lot of yeah. So my children go to one form entry school. So basically there's about 218 pupils there, but when they go to secondary school, there'll be about 1,500. That's a lot.
It
That's a
is.
lot and that's a lot of change. They know that school, this primary school now, inside out. When they go to secondary school, it's gonna look so grand, and they're
Yeah,
so little, and
yeah.
it's just difficult. And it's like you said, but I think it's a pressures that obviously secondary teachers are on, aren't they? They need to get the results, they need to get the children to pass. So it's not that anybody's trying to be uncaring, it's just the pressures of education. And so you just, like you said, you just expect the children to know certain things. And as an adult, if I went to a secondary school, I remember going to my old secondary school to have a meeting, and it had changed because they added some new buildings on there, and I was lost. And I had to ask
Exactly.
people where I was going. And I remembered it vaguely because I'd been there, but there were new bits on there. So I was a bit lost. So it is hard to expect somebody new, especially in the first term, to know where they're going. Up until Christmas, it's, you're figuring it out, aren't you? Where you need to be,
Exactly.
what you need to do, how
Yeah,
you need to act. You're watching all the time, aren't you? That's what we
yeah,
see.
yeah. It is so just talking to you regarding the primary school, right? It really, really just dawned on me, even more so in terms of how these little children trying to navigate. And I remember when I go, because I'm a agency teacher, and when I go from school to school, one of the things the children always say when I cover year seven, I hate secondary school. This big school, they don't understand us. And the more I listen to them, the more I realize that, oh my goodness, it is very true, because we expect you in year seven to just get it sorted, but you can't.
Mm. And I think in primary, because you're with one teacher for the
Yeah,
majority of the whole school week, you
yeah.
have that. For me, I'm very big on the relationship. As a teacher, you have to have the relationship with your pupils in order to get the best out of your pupils. If they
Mm-hmm.
know that they can trust you and you generally care for them, they'll do whatever basically they need to do in terms of their career, in terms of learning. And for me, I think in secondary school, because you have so many different teachers who specialize in so many different things, which is great, but as if you're with one person for like 6 hours or 5 hours a day, you grow to know that person, the little
Mm-hmm.
things you find out. As a teacher, you find out things about your pupils, and then you can talk to your pupils about those things. For example, if somebody goes to football every Sunday, you can have a conversation on Monday morning. How's football? Did you
Mm-hmm.
score? Did your team win? You're building those relationships. And as people, as
Mm-hmm.
humans, that's what we want, don't we? Relationships. And
Mm-hmm.
children, they want those relationships. They want you to look in their eyes and be interested in
Mm-hmm.
what they are saying. And children are very good. They know when
Mm-hmm.
you're not interested, or they know
Yes.
when you're faking it. So you've got to genuinely care about those children. So I do think in primary we have that advantage, that we don't just
Mm-hmm.
have a child for 4 hours a week. We have the child for maybe, call it, maybe if you're having 5 hours a day because they've got break, etc. You're having for 25 hours a week
Mm-hmm.
over the term. The first term, obviously you're getting to know each other, but by the second and third term, you know that child so well, you can ask them questions, and that child will engage with you in a positive way because they
Mm-hmm.
know that you care. Children want to be asked questions, don't they? They like it when you ask them questions. They like it when you ask them questions that are not necessarily related to education. They just want to know you are interested. So if the mum's had a new baby, oh, how's the new baby? What have you called the new baby? You know, they want to know, they're excited. Things we might think, oh, about that child. Remember I think it's really interesting actually when you're a teacher, because I think you lose some of your innocence when you become an adult. But when you see the children, they're so innocent, and the things that they're excited about, you're like, wow, they're so excited about something. You're like, wow, it's so exciting. And they talk to you about it with such passion. And I think we just need to listen and take it on board. Like I said, academics is really important, but listening to the children and taking on board what they're saying is so powerful as well.
It is so very true though, because it's like when you think in terms of in secondary school, we don't have time. You know, you have the children coming from year 7, you know, they come in, you probably might be teaching them for a double lesson, most times for one lesson, and you might see them 3 times a week. That's it. So you don't even have time to form a relationship with them. You're only able to form a relationship with your form group. You know, providing you have your form group every morning. My form group, I see them twice a week. So I still, you know, I've been there from September. Some of them I don't even know their face and name together because I only see them twice a week. And the other 3 weeks, the other 3 days, I don't see them. Someone else have them. So you don't have enough time to form a relationship with them. And that's one of the sad things of secondary school, because as you rightly identify, we are there is just, we have to get the results. So you come into the class, take your books out, you need to think GCSE.
I think the advantage that we've got in primary is we do get to know the children, and we get to know the families and build up a relationship with them. So I think that's really nice, and the children do know they can ask you something, and they know that you're going to be a trusted adult. You're going to look out for them. You're going to, because some children find it really difficult because they might be shy, but by building that relationship over the year, they'll build that positive relationship with you. And I think that's what it's about. We're trying to teach these children to have connections, because it's so important to form relationships, isn't it? In order to survive in the world, even if you're a person that's not, introvert, you still need to form some sort of relationship with somebody, because nobody can be an island. You can't be in this world by yourself. You can be an introvert, but you do need other people as well. And I think for me, the key element is the relationship. I want the students to do really well in terms of their academics, but at the same time, I want them to be happy. And I think if they're not happy and they can't talk to you about things, they're not going to succeed, because I know if I'm unhappy, I can't do whatever I'm meant to do, because I'm just not in that right frame of mind. So I want my children to be happy. So on a Friday, we have Friday music. They come in, so we walk from outside, we walk inside, and when they come into the classroom, they've got the music, we have a little dance, they sit at the tables, they talk to each other, and very much about the children being able to talk. So I think sometimes we don't want them to talk. There's a time and a place, but in the morning, I know after a weekend, if you see a colleague, you want to have a conversation. If someone said, sit down now and do your work, you're like, oh, so you want to have that conversation. So for me, I'm very big on the children having those conversations. That's how you get to find out what's happening, because they're talking to their friend about what they did at the weekend or what they didn't do. So I'm very much about the children coming in and making that environment as happy and as positive as possible. So there's work on them to do, but we have a laugh, we have a talk, and that's what it's about as well, the children being able to laugh and seeing me as the educator, as somebody who can have a laugh with them. I'm human. This is me being a human. I'm teaching you, but at the same time, I'm human. I can talk to you. We can laugh about things. Obviously, things that are appropriate, we have a laugh about. And then having the Friday song. If I don't play the Friday song, Miss, what about the Friday song? So they have to play the Friday song. It's just those little tweaks that you do for them. And it's nothing, it's not a big deal. It's just, playing a song on a Friday that they like. It's got the lyrics. It's Friday. It's going to be Monday, Tuesday. That song. That's what we play. Some of them know the moves to it, so they do the moves to it. But it's that relationship. They feel free enough to be able to ask for that song. Then they feel free enough to be able to dance that song, because we're not so rigid where this is not a fun classroom. It is fun. I want you to be happy, because if you're happy, you know, it releases all your chemicals. You can laugh, you can joke, and you can ask for help. You're not scared, you're not nervous, because you feel free in your environment.
That's fantastic. In terms of, so every Friday they have this Friday song, right?
Yeah, just because literally it's got the word Friday in it. So that's why I play it. So it's the one where it's I'm not going to sing it. So basically it's Friday, Monday, Tuesday, and it goes through the days of the week. But it's Friday, it's like Friday again, and the kids come in, they sing to it, and they know it's Friday. As much as we've loved the school week, it's the end of the school week, so we're moving on. Then they get excited because they get to talk about the weekend. But it's just making school purposeful, and it's making my role as an educator purposeful as well. Like I said, I want the children to want to come to school and know that school is fun. School can be fun and purposeful. So for me, it's about school having a purpose. The purpose is for you to learn, but the purpose for you as well, if I'm doing my job correctly, is to make you a rounded person, make you confident. And for me, it's about making those children, I want to make those children confident, so they can ask a question and not be scared to get that question wrong. I don't care if you get the question wrong, but what I do care about is that you're trying. That's all you need to do. Try. Yeah, if you get it wrong, there's not a problem. Just try, but you should feel confident enough and safe enough in that classroom environment to get a question wrong, be like, oh well, it's not a problem, move on. So that's the trying, that's the culture. I'm very, culture is really important to me, and establishing a positive culture in the classroom where the children feel safe to be them. Hence, you'll get a critical thinker. Hence, you get children being different. We all cannot be the same. If we're all the same, it's not good. I've got children in my class at the moment who are completely different, all gorgeous children, but they're different, and that's the good thing about them. So if somebody was to ask me, what do you like about X, I can say, I like X, Y, and Z, because I'm trying to know the children, and the more time I spend with them, the longer the term goes on, the more I'm finding out about them.
Oh my goodness, you've said so many things that I want to pick up on. One of it is, you know, in terms of the making mistakes. And it is so fantastic to hear that, because this is why I say to my students all the time, I don't care about you making mistakes. That's fine. You need to make the mistake. I say, because when you make the mistake, okay, we get the answer after. But my role as a teacher is to get you to be confident enough to speak. I want you to speak. It doesn't matter if it's a wrong answer. As long as you speak, it means that you are trying and you're attempting it. So I'm good with that. And that is so powerful, because too often children feel that they have to get the answers right the first time.
I'm just gonna, that noise, oh, it stopped now. It's just a cat thing. It should go off in a second. We have some cats and then we have a food there. So that's why it's just going off. It should, one more and then it should go off. This is the benefit of live, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I say to the children, it's good to make mistakes. For example, when I first started my new job, I've only been there since September, I couldn't work the technology. So I had to ask somebody from the office to come. So she used to come and be like, oh, Mrs. McGrath doesn't know how to work the technology. And then I used to refer to my colleague as the IT person. The kids used to laugh. And then if I don't know something, I've got a teaching assistant in there, or if I get something wrong sometimes, the children are confident to say, Miss, that's incorrect. And I'll try and style it out, be like, yes, I was trying to see if you were awake or not. But it's good that they feel confident enough to say, Miss, that's incorrect. I'll be like, oh, why is it incorrect? And they'll tell me it's incorrect. And because I'm new to the school, I might do something that's not correct, not the way that they've done it, or the routine, and they're like, Mrs. McGrath, we don't do it that way. I'll be like, okay, then which way do you do it? And they tell me which way to do it, which is good. But I say to the children all the time, it's good to make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time. And that's even in sometimes the way that you talk to people. You can make mistakes. You can be a bit harsh sometimes, can't you? And actually, it's a case of, okay, I've been a bit harsh, but reflect, and actually, I can apologize. So it's given, for me, like I said to you before, it's good, the academics, really, obviously in education, we want the children to achieve, but we, at the same time, we're making these children rounded children and ready for society. It's fine to make mistakes. It's good to make mistakes, because that's how you learn to be better. Because once I've made a certain mistake once, I'll never make that mistake again, because I've self-reflected. So they need
Exactly.
to self-reflect. I think it's a good quality to have, to self-reflect and understand I'm wrong sometimes, or my viewpoint can be changed because I
Mhm.
thought why, but actually you've talked about something. I don't think why anymore. I think S. So
Mhm.
I think it's good for us. And this way it comes to having critical thinkers. And this is why the children need to be able to think. And, we try to explore different topics in RSHE. We talk about different things. We talk about different topics. We talk about you don't necessarily have to agree with something, but what you
Mhm.
do have to do, you have to respect that person and their values and their beliefs and find out more about it before you make a judgment.
Mhm. 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 It is so very, very true. And that's one of the things, like when I listen to you, it's like the passion for the primary school. And that's really is fantastic. And it does make you, me as a secondary school teacher, to reflect in terms of how we in secondary school deal with these children that comes in our care from the primary school, because we need to be so much more mindful, because they're coming from a one entry school to coming into this big school, and some of them are so little. It's like I was looking at one of them yesterday. She is so little, and I'm looking at her. I say, "Are you new? Are you for year 7?" Yes, miss. And you look at them and you're thinking, oh, so sweet. They're so little, so innocent as well, which is so wonderful. But as soon as they, after the first few months of year 7, it's like thinking, hello, you need to get it sorted. GCSE is around the corner. You need to start, planning for that. And it's a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure.
And I think this is why it affects the children's mental well-being. So we have children in primary school that I think since COVID actually, it might have been prior to COVID, but I think now that we've had COVID and we're coming out of COVID, I think there's more of a spotlight on it where children are anxious and nervous. And I think it's more commonly accepted now, whereas before it wasn't commonly accepted. I think now we understand that children we're taking into account children's feelings. They are nervous and they do get upset. I remember being little and having a knot in my stomach and not understanding what that knot in my stomach is. It wasn't until I was an adult I understood that I was nervous about something. But what I'd like the children to do is be able to express how they are feeling, or have somebody in school they can talk to about how they're feeling. Because if you're nervous or upset and you don't share that with anybody, you've kept that with you all day, you're not going to be ready to do any learning because you're not in the right frame of mind. So before they can do anything, we need to make sure the children are ready to learn, explore. Like I said before, something we see as so minute for children is so grand, and not to trivialize it either. Talk about them. Why are you feeling like that? What can we do? So in the schools that I've been in, we talk about the zones of regulation. I'm not sure if we do that in secondary school. And we've got
What is it?
the zones of regulation. So we have
Mm.
4 different zones. So
Okay.
yeah, there's the red zone where somebody might be feeling mad, angry, or they might be just, it could go on the flip side, they could be really happy and really giddy. And then you have the green zone, which is where you want children to be, which is where they're calm and they're ready to learn. But through between the red and the green, you've got the yellow and you've got the blue. Different emotions. You might be jealous, you might be upset, you might be annoyed. It's about the children being able to pinpoint their emotion and then being able to articulate why they feel like that. So instead of just using sad and happy, which are very general, aren't they? It's going further, overwhelmed, anxious, and being able to talk about these emotions. So in the schools that I've been in, that's quite a big thing that we talk about. In the school that I'm currently in, we try to talk about the emotions at least twice a day. So once they come in the morning, they've got the zones of regulations on the board as they come in, so it's very visual, and they find their name and they put where they are. And then if a child's not in the correct zone, or they're feeling a bit blue, as you do sometimes, then myself or the teacher assistant will have a conversation away from the other pupils to find out what the situation is, what the issue is, and how we can best move forward. Once again, if a child's not in the right frame of mind, they cannot engage in their learning, and it's about the children engaging. For example, somebody might be hungry. That's why they're in blue. They might be tired. Sometimes you go to work, you're tired, aren't you? But as an adult, you snap yourself out of it because you think, come on, game face. But as a child, they're tired. They're just tired. So they're like, Miss, I'm just tired. So you're like, okay, you're tired. Why are you tired? What can we do? Miss, I'm hungry. Then we can give you a piece of toast. Then you'll be ready to learn. So it's about finding out the children's emotion and finding out how best we can help them with emotions. Sometimes you just not yourself and you don't know why you're not yourself. Do you? And as an adult, you're like that. So we just want to try and find out what emotion the child's in, and we've got it visual so they can see it. And then we talk about it once they come in the morning. Then we talk about after playtime as well, lunchtime especially, because they've had the playtime, they're going out, they've got that free time, and something happens to somebody's fallen over, somebody's having an argument with a friend. If you've had an argument with your best friend at lunchtime, then you come into class, you're going to feel a bit sad. So then we want to say, okay, why are you feeling sad? Let's try and resolve the situation. But actually, you're the child and we want to give you the skills. If we just dive right in, that's not helping you for life. How could you resolve it? What could you do? So for me, it's about the children self-reflecting, how you can put yourself into that green zone. And I say to the children, it's fine to be in a different zone, but you can't be in that zone all day long, because it takes too much. If you're angry all day, that takes so much energy. If you're angry, it just takes from being angry from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. That takes so much energy. So it's fine to be angry. It's fine to be in your feelings, but how can we move you to a different zone? What can we do to support you?
Thank you. That's fantastic. So is that a way you guys deal with these children mental health as well? How you guys deal with the mental health?
So in my current school, in the previous school, we had learning mentors. So basically, so certain children who suffering with a social mental health, they might be on the SEND register, or they might not be, but they do suffer with the mental health. They get to see the learning mentor, and the learning mentor would support them in the classroom environment, or they might have an intervention to talk about their emotions and to support them. Because it's not about saying, no, you don't have that. If a child's telling you that's how they feel, you need to validate their emotions and feelings, and you need to help them in the best way possible with their emotions and feelings. But the zones of regulation, it does work quite a lot. And there's like I said, in my previous 2 schools, that's what we've used and talked about, the zones of regulation. The children can actually visualize it and see it, and they know they can talk about it, and they can talk. If they're in green, they'll tell you why they're in the different emotions. And as the adult in the setting, you listen to them and speak to them and find out more information. So I think it does help, because when I was at school, if you were sad, you were just sad.
Exactly,
No one said why you're feeling sad or what zone you're in. You're just sad, and then you just sit there feeling a bit sad, and then hopefully somebody nice and caring would come and ask you why you're feeling sad. But this is, as soon as you come in the morning, if you're not feeling great, someone can pick it up on it and work with you and talk to you about it. Sometimes it's as quick as a 1 minute thing, a 1 minute conversation, and that child's feeling so much better. And then I'm not saying during the day you wouldn't do it. If you saw a child who's feeling a bit sad and it was mass time, you still have a conversation. Come over here, what's wrong? Come and tell me, and try and rectify it. But we do it twice, once in the morning and once after lunch, because they are the points where, transition points, aren't they, where children are feeling a little bit wobbly.
Wow, I think those are very powerful, the zone of regulation. It's very, very powerful. And I could see how useful it can be, within secondary school as well. Because the children, whether or not it's primary, secondary, they're still human beings with emotion. It's interesting, because as you were talking, I was just thinking of yesterday, I had to send one of my students outside, a sixth former, because she was lying on the desk, and I keep on, while I was teaching, I keep on glancing and thinking, why is she lying on the desk? I went over and I said to her, come, let's go outside. What's happening? She said, Miss, I'm really tired. Why are you so tired? I have not slept. Why haven't you slept? Miss, I have not been feeling well. And it's like all of that. And, I said to her, I'm not one of these teachers to shout at you, etc. Because once I tell them, come on, we need to go and have a conversation outside, because I think it's important that we have a conversation outside, that me just sending you outside. Sending you outside doesn't do me any good. I need to know what's going on with you. We need to have this conversation, have this dialogue. And it was interesting, because I said to her, this is the 3rd day I've noticed that. She said, Miss, because I've had a cold and I've just not been feeling well. I say, okay, when you go home today, that's yesterday, make sure you go home and you go to your bed. Try to have some sleep, because when I see you on Monday morning, because I see her first thing on Monday morning, I say, when I see you on Monday morning, I want to see a little bit more perky person than someone who is telling me they're tired. Yes, miss. And I think, oh God. It's an ongoing thing, whether or not you're in primary or secondary, because as you rightly say, for a student to be ready to learn, the mental well-being have to be in equilibrium, or else we're not having them for the academic. We are losing them.
And I think it's really important that you took time out to have that conversation. So for you, and it's good you did it in private as well, and not shine the spotlight on that child in the classroom, because that's embarrassing for children, isn't it? We wouldn't like it if someone didn't like something we did and did it in front of everybody in the staff room. We were mortified, we were embarrassed. So we have to have the dignity of the children and taking that child away and having that conversation and actually finding out what had happened without shouting at them. That child will appreciate it so much, and hence your relationship with that child will continue to grow. Because I think, you know what, Mrs. Nice, Mrs. Kind. I remember when I wasn't feeling very well, and she wanted to figure out why, and she was helpful to me. So I think it's about, it doesn't do any good shine at the children at all. They don't need that. What they need is someone just being understanding, but at the same time knowing that person really cares for me, but they've got the boundaries at the same time, so you can't take a mickey out of you. So you just, you do care about that child, and that's for me, that's what children want to know. You genuinely care about them. You're making that eye contact. You're taking time out of your day to have that conversation with them.
Yeah, it is so very true, because I said to them, I said, you guys know that I'm not the shouty teacher, right? I say, you guys know I don't shout, I don't need to shout. I just say to them, let's have a conversation outside. The minute I said, let's have a conversation, I said, oh, miss. I said, oh, miss, nothing. Let's have a conversation outside. Or something I said, outside, I'm following. Outside, let me just set the rest of them something to do. Outside, and I'm following. And the minute there's like, oh, why did I do this? Because Miss is gonna have a go. We're outside the classroom. And it is so important that we actually have those relationships with our students, because it is vital. It is vital. As a teacher, what's the things that stresses you out?
I think you feel that you have to do so many things in a day. I think that's quite stressful as a teacher. There's so many things that you need to do. And I think you're just on autopilot all the time. And you just want the children to achieve. And the children, they've got so much learning to do, because the school day is so busy and so packed for them. I think that's quite stressful. And I think also sometimes the paperwork, when you've got paperwork to be like, you've got to do assessments, or you're filling in paperwork and that's got to be done. I think that can be quite stressful as well. I think sometimes it can be just a bit overwhelming. You feel like you've caught yourself, and then you've been asked to do something else. You're like, oh, I thought I was on top of it, but then I've got something else. So for me, it's about putting it in perspective, because I think you can be very overwhelmed. You feel like this person and all the snow's coming on top of you, like, oh my goodness, how am I going to cope? So I think it's about putting in perspective, because if teaching is one of those jobs that's never ending. You will never, if you had 50 hours in a day, you would never complete your task. So it's about being realistic and prioritizing and thinking, right, what can wait? Who can I delegate something else to? And just thinking about it in a logical way, because otherwise I think you will literally just be like, I can't do this, because you become too overwhelmed.
It is so very true, because when I come off, I have to go and do some marking, because I've been putting it off. And I'm thinking, I have to do this. I have to sit myself down and do this marking, because my students have had mock exams, and I've given them an assessment for next week, and I have about 60 papers coming in next week. So I have to make sure I clear this lot before I take on next week. And I say, yes, I have to sit down and make sure I finish it, so that next week when it comes, it's going to be a much lighter feeling. It's, as you rightly say, a teacher's job is never done. We are always at it.
Yeah.
Always at it.
And I think because you're a teacher, you actually care, don't you? Teachers by nature are caring people, and you care. I want to mark my books. I don't feel it's a chore, but when you've got you've done 3 subjects in a day, you've got 90, well, I've got 90 books to mark. It's a lot of books to mark, and you need those books for the next day. So it's not a choice. You have to mark those books, and you have to give some sort of feedback, because you're assessing the children and pushing them on. So for me, it's, I'm pushing you on. I want you to get to the next level. So I want you to reflect. So yeah.
It's because I've got quite a lot, because what I did was I thought I had this bright idea. I'm going to give them an assessment in the class, a 20 marker, and then I'm going to give them 2 pieces for the half-term break, because I'm trying to assess them. And then I give them another piece that I ask them to peer mark, and I'm thinking, what the hell are you doing, girl? All this marking.
Yeah.
And it's only dawned on me last week that as I was starting to marking, I'm thinking, I'm getting lost,
You do, but that's why you've got to prioritize, because otherwise you will just be swamped with all the different things you do. I have a to-do list, and I tick it off. And even if you've got 2 ticks for the day, you've done 2 things.
Yeah.
You've done lots of other things as well, but
Yeah.
on your list, if you tick off 2 things, you feel like you've achieved something. Whereas if you don't tick off anything, or you don't have a list, you feel like I haven't done something. And you will have done loads in a day, but I think as people and as teachers, I think we're quite critical and hard on ourselves. Oh, I didn't do this. I think just as people, as humans, you're quite hard on yourself, aren't you? You don't give yourself the praise you need. So yeah, having a to-do list really works for you.
It's interesting though, because yesterday I was, I started because I was doing I was sorting out exam questions for the assessment next week. And I had 2 free periods, and I had so many things planned to do that. And when I finished, I realized it took me so long to find these exam papers. And, because I needed 3 questions. And it's like looking on this side, I'm thinking, what the hell have you done? But then I had to remind myself, my colleague said to me, what you've done, the 3 exam questions. I said, yes, that's the point. So I need to, be less hard on myself.
Yeah.
It is so very true though. As a teacher, sometimes you reflect and thinking, my goodness, I'm really hard on myself. It's an ongoing thing.
I think you have to be kind to yourself, because otherwise, if you're not, you're just going to have that self-doubt, and you've got to be positive. We're asking the children to be positive and confident. If we're not positive and confident, we're not going to radiate that to the children. So it's about, okay, I haven't done this today, but I'll do it tomorrow. But however, I have done this today, and I've done this today, and I've made this person happy today. I've achieved something in the day, even if it's the smallest thing. You've done something, you've put a smile on somebody's face, you've talked to somebody, you've achieved something. So it's not about being negative about yourself, it's about being positive and embracing all the good that you've done.
It is so very true, because I say that to the students because there's some days I have 3 sets of students, because my lessons are all double. And I'm saying to them, no negative. Yesterday I walked in, I said, nope, no negatives. Miss, you always say no negatives. I said, yes. I said, because I cannot function with negative.
Yeah.
I said, it doesn't matter what you guys have done, because every day, on the board for all my lessons, we have a positive quotes.
Yeah.
So first lesson a positive quote, my second lesson a positive, my third lesson a positive quote. Good. And I have brain break. Yesterday was so funny. One of them, because we do a lot of, one of the subjects I teach is sociology. So we did a lot of, like looking at what's going on in the news, etc. And I usually give them a brain break. And I said, brain break. So they went downstairs to another teacher, and they came back and they said, oh, she was shouting at us. I said, what happened now? And they said to me, oh, they went into the classroom. I said, but why did you go into the classroom when she was teaching? And then this one of them said to me, oh, we keep on asking her for a brain break when we're in her lesson. Why are you doing that? Oh, miss, everybody know you, the only teacher in the school give brain break. Okay, that's the case, but at the same time, you guys need to stop advertising it, because not everybody does it. So
but it is good for the children. We do sensory breaks. We call them sensory breaks. And it is good for the children, because if you're sat there for a period of time, just engaged in learning, as an adult, I get fidgety. I want to move around. I want to have a little bit of a chat. Have you not seen where people are in staff meetings and somebody be talking for 45 minutes? You'll see somebody talking at the back just because they're getting a bit jittery and they need to move around. It's good. It's good to move your bodies around. It's good to stand up. It's good to talk. It's good. I've got some children in my class that sometimes need a sensory walk. So I say, go and have a walk. I can see, and if you let that child get into that mode, they're not going to be any good for themselves. They're not going to produce this kind of learning you want. So I'm more than happy for the children when I can see them not engaged. And even preempt it, because we're getting to know the children. Let them go for a walk. Let them have a sensory break. It's healthy.
Yep. So very true. I totally agree with that. That's the reason why, when I'm teaching them halfway through, I say, pens down, brain break. And they're looking at me. Yes, Miss, you're so random. Yes, pens down, brain break. Because it's important that they actually have that brain break. It is so, it's so important.
They're young minds, and they're taking a lot on board, and they're learning lots of new different concepts throughout the school day. So they need to have that break away from it and be able to, get themselves back to where they need to, get themselves refocused, get themselves re-energized. Even just standing up and going to walk to the sink or going to walk to the door is breaking that activity up. Having, like I said, I'm all for the children having a conversation with their friends. I think it's really healthy to have those conversations. It's building up those social skills, isn't it, that we want for the children. So for me, sensory breaks, definitely. And I think definitely in the afternoon as well, after they've had lunch, they're tired, they've been at school for a while, they're ready to go home. It's getting darker now, so it feels even, and it's cold. So all these different factors affect the children. So we need to take these into account when we're working with the children. And they are, like you said, they are children. I can't hear you.
Yeah, just realized I was off. Yes, it's very, very true. It is very, very true. Very, very true. We need to really, encourage them to take that, we need to give them that brain break. It's important. Because after when they've had the brain break and they start to fresh, you get so much out of them,
Yeah, definitely. They're ready. They've had that time. So, they've had that time to move around. And also in terms of the cognition as well, science says that it's not good for a person just be sat for a period of time. They need to move around. If you just sat there all that time, it's not, if they sat on the chairs, I'm moving now on the chair. It's not, they've been sat on the chairs, they need to move around, they need to talk, they need to walk the classroom, they need to go and get a drink, they need to get themselves back together. There's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. I think it's really healthy to children to do that and for it to be factored into the school day for the children. And if they need it every hour, they need it every hour. You've got the class. You can do what this is what I mean again. You've got that relationship with the children. When your children, what they need and what they don't need.
Yep, I totally agree with you there. Because I said to my class, initially I was giving 2 brain break because I have 2, it's 2 hours. So it was 2 brain break, but sometimes it depends on what time they come in, how they're strolling. So most times we have 1 brain break, but it's like, it's essential because the minute you clock, you realize, no, you guys need a break. You guys need a break because, I'm not getting production as I should. It is very, very true. It is very, very true. Thank you very much. One more question before I actually ask you the points. Do you think that teaching should be student-led, teacher-centered? Sorry, let me say that. Do you think that it should be teacher-led, teacher-centered, or student-led, student-centered?
I think it should be a mixture. Because the children, I do. I think it should be a mixture because the children know so much about things that I don't know about because they're not my interests. But I think if we tailored more to the children's interests, when we're doing certain things, we'd get more productivity out of them because it's their interest. If you ever see with a child and you talk to them about that's something that they're engaged in, their eyes light up, they've got a smile on the face, and the child who might be so quiet will talk forever and ever because it's something they're engaged in. And I understand we have the curriculum, we need to teach certain things, and I do agree with that, but I do think we need to take into account what the children are interested in, because it's really important. What they're interested in and what their peers are interested in is completely different things. However, we can learn a lot from the children because they can teach us, the children can teach me as an educator, and their peers lots of different things. They've got knowledge about lots of different things. Putting all those knowledge together, we've got lots of knowledge about lots of different things. So I think teacher-led is good, but I think because it needs to be, because you need to take some ownership and you need to put in some direction. But I think we really do need to take into account what the children's interests are. And then I think we'd be interested to see what we get, because I think people would be quite surprised by the information they get and what children know, what information they do know. Because sometimes they tell you things, you're like, wow, I didn't know that. And they're like really proud. I've taught me something, you have. And I say to them, every day is a teaching day. I don't know everything. I know certain things. You know certain things. We put our things together, we'll know a lot of things.
Yes.
And the way the world's working at the moment, it's so different from when I was growing up. They've got the technology. The children are so savvy in the technology.
Yeah.
They know how to work it. At the same time, they know how to work it. But at the same time, if we talk about the technology, we can give them the advice how to be safe on the internet, etc. But they can work lots of different programs and lots of different apps. So working in conjunction together. And like I said, I don't know everything. And it's good for the children to know, I don't know everything. Your parents don't know everything. You're not going to know everything. So don't be scared to learn. Every day is a learning day, isn't it? We come to school to learn and to find out random facts and information. But what it should be is interesting and quality.
Yeah, I totally agree with you that. I totally agree with you there in terms of letting the children know that you don't have all the answers and you don't know everything. So therefore, as a team, we work together. And it's important that the children see that you don't know everything. So therefore, it gives them that confidence as well. It's so important. It is so important. So very important. Thank you very much. Finally, what 3 tips can you give a new teacher who's just come into the profession and very anxious and overwhelmed and feeling burnout? What 3 tips would you give them?
Work-life balance. So I would say at least choose 2 nights a week where you think I'm going to stay late, because I just need to stay late. So it might be a staff night night, and it might be another night. The other 3, possibly go home a little bit earlier. Don't think you have to stay to the end all the time, because sometimes people stay till school closes and they're not being productive. They're not getting anything done. They're just in the building, which is not any good for anybody. So I'd maybe say spend 2 nights where you think I'm going to have late nights, I'm going to stay till it closes. The other 3, I'm going to leave a little bit earlier. I'd say have a to-do list. Write things down. When you write things down, it becomes real. When you tick things off, it becomes real. And the 3rd thing I would say is talk to people. Ask people questions. No one's going to think you're silly. I've been teaching 18 years. I still ask people questions. Hence again, I don't know everything. Going into a new environment, I don't know everything. I ask. I don't pretend I know something. I don't think I'm silly because I don't know. I ask, and it shows you are human. So ask somebody. I think it's vital. Ask someone. Build a network up as well.
Thank you so very much for that, Lindsey. It's been a fantastic session. Thank you so very much, because what is interesting is, you're primary and secondary, and there's so many things that when you were talking about your little ones, it actually triggered in my head, oh my goodness, we expect them to just come in and just run with it, but they can't, because they don't know where to run to or how to run.
Yeah,
right?
It's true. It's true.
But we don't think about all of that. We're just thinking, okay, now you're with us, this is it. But we need to remember that they're coming from a one-form school, some of them.
They are.
Exactly. And it's difficult for them to navigate this big school. That's the reason why they keep on saying, Miss, it is so big.
Yeah.
It is so true. It is so very true. Thank you so much for that. Is there anything else you want to say before we say goodbye to the audience?
No, thank you very much for having me on. Thank you very much for being able to have a conversation with you. It's been really nice. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's been a fantastic session, in terms of where you are on your journey and in terms of, what's happening with these little ones. And it's interesting that, some of the things you say in terms of giving them a time off to just go and have a little walk around and come back, because they need that, because the poor brain gets so tired.
Yeah.
You know, and you could see it on their faces, is either the switch off.
Yeah, the colour drains, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you know when you're tired as an adult, I always think about myself when I've had enough and I just need to go and have a walk. So it's so much, it's cognition overload. They're getting a lot of information. Let them go and process what's been said to them.
Yeah.
It's healthy.
Yeah, and it is important.
Yeah.
You know, it's so, because when I give my student a brain break, I give them, you know, mindful coloring. So, you know, we color, and it's like, so it's like, Miss, we haven't had a brain break yet. Okay, come on. And it's like, I said to them, that's all you guys are coming to my class for this brain break, right? Because they're ready for the brain break.
Yeah.
It's like, there's a class I had on Wednesday, and I had them on Thursday as well. Wednesday, there were so many things I was talking to them about, we forgot the brain break. So Thursday, when I walk in, Miss, you know, yesterday we didn't have a brain break, so today we have to have double. I said to them, oh my goodness, you know. So they're making sure that I remember they have to have this brain break. It's so funny, though.
But that shows that they're appreciating the sensory break, aren't they? Sometimes they might be so engrossed in their learning, they don't need it. For example, on Thursday when I was teaching the class, we were doing food tasting, they were so engrossed in it, they didn't need it. But other times, they do need it. So once again, it's about that relationship, know what your class needs and know what they don't need.
Yeah. It is so very true in terms of the relationship. The relationship is so very important, because the relationship enables you to identify what they need and when they need it.
Yeah, definitely.
So powerful. Thank you so very much again. I really do appreciate you taking the time off to come and talk to us about your journey and what it's like being a primary school teacher, and some of the challenges and some of the highlights. But, you know, we know it's not always all challenges. They're fantastic highlights as well.
No, because good bits, very good bits of being a teacher. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it, would you?
Exactly. That's very true. There's some days you say, oh, God, it's heavy. But the other days you're thinking, oh my goodness, it is fantastic.
Yeah. You see that light bulb moment with a child that they've got it. You're like, yes. And it makes you feel so proud. You're like, yes.
Yes, the aha moment. The aha moments. I said to my class yesterday, I said, oh my goodness, you guys have got it. We need to clap. Let's celebrate it. You know, it's like, exactly. It's such fantastic, you know. Yes, teaching is challenging, but we have some fantastic sessions as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And thank you, my Facebook audience. You guys need to share. Remember, as teachers, their highlights, their low times. But at the same time, we know that we are making a difference because we could actually see the end result. And remember, everybody needs a teacher. Everybody needs a teacher, and everybody have had a teacher in their life. And guess what? Everybody had a teacher who made a major impact in their life, that who made them who they are. And when they think of that teacher, they have a smile on their face. There's one teacher, anytime I think about Rosemary Akimbade, I have a smile on my face. She was one of my most powerful mentor and my teacher. Anyway, take care, stay blessed, people, and I'll see you guys next Wednesday on the Empowerment Show. Take care, stay blessed.